In the book of James chapter 4, the Apostle James says, "Ye adulterers and adulteresses, know ye not that friendship with the world is enmity with God? Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is the enemy of God." So it's very important to understand. James calls adulterers and adulteresses. He's not talking about real adultery. He's talking about spiritual adultery, that we have cheated on our Father of our heavenly husband, and we have committed adultery against him. How? By loving the world. "Ye adulterers and adulteresses, know ye not that friendship with the world is enmity with God? Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is the enemy of God." So when we go and we become friends with people of the world and we partake in the things that they do and we love the things that they do, we become enemies of God, because the world is the enemy of God. The world hates Jesus Christ. And if we truly love God, we should also be hated by the world, because the world hated him, and it says that the world would hate us as well. That's what it says, "Marvel not, my brethren, if the world hates you." So we shouldn't be surprised, we shouldn't be marveling if the world hates us, because it hated God, it hated Jesus Christ. And if we are truly abiding in Jesus Christ, and if we are truly having fellowship with God, the world will hate us as well, because it hated Christ, and it will hate us as well. How can you go and love a world that hates the person that saved your life and hates the person that you profess to love? You say, "I love you, Christ. I give my whole life to you." Then you go and you have fellowship with people of the world, and you love things that Christ hates and things that demean Christ and are against who Christ is, his very nature. Christ is God and he is holy, and this world is contrary to God, and it is against God, and everything that they do is against God and opposite of God. In the book of Job, it says that they call darkness light and light darkness. So they call the stuff that God calls light, they call that darkness, and the stuff that God calls darkness, they call light. They have perverted the truth. And it is the same thing. The world that John here is talking about is not simply things of the world. He is talking about the world in the sense, the enemy of God. The world hates God, and it is the enemy of God. That's why he said, "Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him." So if you say that you love God, but at the same time you are loving the world, you are a liar, because if you love God, you would hate the world, because the world hates God. The Apostle Paul says, "I am crucified with Christ, nevertheless I live, but Christ liveth in me, and the life that I now live in the flesh, I live by the faith of the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me." So Christ loved you, and he gave himself for you. Why? In the first chapter it says that he might deliver us from this present evil world. Christ died for us so that he could deliver us and set us free from this present evil world. John, again in chapter 6, he said, "I am crucified to the world, and the world is crucified unto me." He says, "I am dead to the world, and the world has been dead to me." Why? "For in Christ Jesus neither circumcision availeth anything, nor uncircumcision, but a new creature." So we have to understand that God destroyed the old creation. He crucified the world. He destroyed the old creation. To why? To make a new creation, Christ. And we are no longer part of this world. We are a new creation. God lives inside of us through the Spirit, and now Christ lives inside of us, and we are a new creation. We are no longer under Adam. We are no longer children of Adam, but we are children of God, because we have God's life inside of us, and we have his Spirit inside of us, and we are no longer part of the world. We are God's children. John says this in chapter 3. He says, "Beloved," he said, "behold, what manner of love the Father hath bestowed upon us, that we should be called the children of God. Therefore the world knoweth us not, because it knew him not." So we're children of God, and the world doesn't know us anymore, because it hasn't known God. So if we're having fellowship with God, the world would hate us, because the world hated God.